So
Yeah, it's too late.
It is too late. We've already dropped. There's no point pretending that we're a well-run professional operation now.
No, it's clearly very roughshod. I don't know what kind of janky establishment you brought me into.
A bad one, a bad one. But hey, you're here now. There's nothing.
I am here.
It's like when you stop at a bad a rest stop or a service station, and you know that it's bad, but you're like, well, I need the fuel. So what can I do?
You go to use the bathroom. There's already a log floating in there, but I've already made my decision to stop here. I completely get it.
Yeah,
I understand.
Exactly. You need the fuel. You need to be able to get to your next town. So anyway, before we do get into playing some NBA and answering your questions out there, if you want to ask a question, Phil, as you know, is literally floating in the background, and we have a list in front of me that will update as we go. Tell us about ourheroesrock.org, how you got into it, and of course, any kind of money we raise this evening is going straight into a big pot that we're going to put into Big E's crowdfunding project. But if anyone doesn't know, just give them a quick idea of what's going on.
Beautiful. Well, Our Heroes Rock is our Kickstarter project. It's a short film. And I say our because this is as much Jonathan Davenport's and Andreas Hale's. They're my partners in this. And we're the three-headed monster, but it's really dope to work with your friends. But essentially, this all started for me right after the murder of George Floyd. And I kept feeling the sense of despair. And it was the first time that a death of someone I had never met or never knew really affected me in a deep and visceral way. And I kept thinking, how do I, as one human, how do I help to topple systemic racism? And, it's police brutality, but it's more than that too. It's housing inequality, it's inequality and employment. Just so many, it's appropriately named as a system because there's so many facets of our culture that are affected deeply by racism. So, one of the things that I loved with our wrestling gear is we're able to show our love for nerd culture. And, you see Jonathan Davenport is the man who's been designing our gear since 2015. And the really badass Mortal Kombat gear that Kofi and Woods have been wearing, that's Jonathan Davenport. All our stuff is Jonathan Davenport. So, one of the things I had been doing during the pandemic is just taking time to go on a walk. I would just go on a walk. I had all this time. And I think that's one of the reasons, too, that the George Floyd murder really hit me as well. It's because I didn't have any distractions. I didn't have a flight to catch. I didn't have a 300-mile drive to make to the next town. I just had to sit with it. And so I went on this walk and I thought, man, what if we did something akin to Schoolhouse Rock, but for famous Black figures? And I talked to Jonathan Davenport, and just kind of threw him the idea. We throw him these very harebrained ideas and somehow he makes them work. Because I think, for us, I often think, this is a very hard thing to solve. And these are conversations that need to go on beyond the week or two that George Floyd and the protests are in the news. They need to continue to happen. So I thought, if we can start with education, I think that really helps you become more empathetic. I think as a young Black kid, I think it helps you have a better understanding of people who look like you, who really meaningfully contributed to the culture and to our world. And when you realize too that Black history shouldn't just be taught in the States. It's just taught in February, and you learn about Martin Luther King, you learn about Rosa Parks and slavery, and that's it. But that's not it. It's not it. We're so much more than that. And our hope was, and one reason we named the project Our Heroes Rock is because this is our history. This is American history. This is world history. These are people who contributed to the fabric of our country and to our world, and shouldn't just be thrown into this little box of Black history that we will acknowledge once we're done talking about the real things. No, this is a part of who we are. So we thought it would just be a really cool way where, if someone saw, originally it started with me throwing Johnny, 3 names. And then it became like, here's 3 more, here's 7 more, it became 17. Can you find a way to fit these 17 really vitally important figures somehow on my wrestling gear? And he made it work, he made it happen. But it's kind of wild. We thought about it. All 3 of us on our team, we're all Black men. We're all grown, but so many of us didn't learn about Ida B. Wells or Ruby Bridges or James Baldwin and so many of these really important, impactful people until later in life, maybe late high school, college. And there's so many of us who have never heard these names and don't know these stories. So that was our hope, is to increase education, because I think it will allow everyone to be more empathetic and more understanding too, and to not forget these stories that are vitally important. And we decided to start with the story of Ruby Bridges because I think her story is so impactful. She was born in 1954, which is the same year as Brown versus Board of Education, which sought to end segregation in public schools in the United States. But there were so many Southern states that were still holding on to segregation. So at 6 years old, think of this little, and there's pictures of her. And, you know, I think it's really telling that you see these black and white pictures and they almost kind of deceive you to make you think, oh, this was so long ago. This is not a thing we worry about anymore. But 1960 is not that long ago. She's 66. She's younger than both my parents. She's still alive. She's still alive. So we thought her story was really impactful, to think of this little girl, this adorable little girl who had to go to school, a school in New Orleans, and adults yelled things at her. They threw things at her. She had to be escorted by 4 U.S. Marshals to school, just this little girl. There were no teachers would teach her except for one. One white woman named Barbara Henry decided to teach her. A bunch of the parents took their kids out of school in protest. But I think her story is so impactful because not only do you have this little black girl who did something very brave and heroic, but you also had the example for so many people who wonder, how can I help? You had someone stand up in Barbara Henry. You had a white teacher who said, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to teach this child. And it was just Barbara Henry, and it was Ruby Bridges in a classroom alone for a whole year. And they did something really impactful, and something that we still need to remember these stories, to keep retelling these stories. Absolutely. And one of the reasons that we wanted to make this short film was we wanted to use elements that were really engaging. I think when education feels heavy-handed and pedantic, you don't really want to engage with it. But if I show you these images and you see this larger-than-life robot named Etor, because he's an electronic tour guide, and you see this futuristic Hall of Fame that Johnny designed, and you know, like Rhapsody's in this. If you don't know Rhapsody, she's a 2-time Grammy nominee. She's an incredible rapper. We have Eric the Architect from Flatbush Zombies, who to me is easily one of the best producers in the game. So we have the best of the best. And one reason we're using Kickstarter is because 3D animation is very expensive. But one of the things that Johnny and Andreas mentioned that really stuck with me is, so often when you're telling Black stories, I think we would notice like there's a degree of budget that isn't quite there. It doesn't feel top notch. And we wanted to give this project the very best. We wanted to spare no expense to tell this story. So that's me. I could talk forever about this. This is something I truly love. This has been a labor of love for all three of us. We talk every day, hourly, almost minutely, working on this project, but it means a lot to us. And the love and the reception and the support from everyone has been incredible.
For some reason, I thought this would be the better option. I've made a huge error. It's all right, we've done it now.
Clearly have.
It's done it. The good thing is, there's every chance this game ends with me not scoring. Unless... Nope. I thought for a split second. Okay, we'll move on to Jed Brown, who says, would you both love to have a squash match in... What? No. Oh, who would you both love to have in a squash match from any promotion? So if you could squash anyone, Big E, who would you squash? What a question.
That is an interesting question. I'm going to go, when people ask me like other people that I want to work in outside companies, I go Shingo from New Japan. I think he's incredible, but I can't squash Shingo. I really like Yano too. I think he's very funny. As far as I think he's the best comedy wrestler out there from New Japan as well. But I don't want to squash him either. See, that's the problem, is there's no one, these are all people that I like and I don't want to squash them. But let's go with Yano.
Nice. So we're going to squash Yano. And shout out to Eric Vasquez, who's put $50 into the pot. So Eric, thank you so much. Says, I can't do the stream labs for some reason, but I don't have a question. I just want to help. Oh, that's very, very nice. So thank you very much for that.
You good people.
Oh my gosh, am I even taking this free throw? Or is it the computer? That's actually the AI. The AI is doing it for me.
Which is the best bet.
Yeah, score for me, please. Score for me. I'm going to answer. I just need to make sure. Oh, thank goodness for that. Also, Big E, if you had the choice to wrestle one wrestler from the past, who would it be?
Ooh. when he didn't work here, my answer had always been the man, the myth, the legend, Goldberg. But if I'm saying from the past, let's go. Do we consider Ron Simmons from the past?
I think so. Yeah, I think that counts.
Okay, let's go with Ron Simmons. He played football at Florida State. This is all I'm doing, by the way, is just chucking up threes. I love watching Ron Simmons play. He's actually, no, that's not true. I was a big Florida State fan, and this is very hard to concentrate and answer questions.
We've made a terrible choice.
I'm going Ron Simmons because he played football at Florida State. He was a nose guard. Actually, I would hear ridiculous stories about him just walking into a gym, putting 500 pounds on the bar, hitting repping out and then walking away. But yeah, he's a man's man. But I also love Ron, just like that big, burly, larger than life dude who was an athlete and was jacked and tossed people around. That's just what I enjoyed as a kid. So let's go with Ron Simmons.
Great answer. My favorite story about Ron Simmons when I was growing up and used to see wrestlers doing interviews is that they'd be like, he's massive regardless what he does. He doesn't have to go to the gym. He's just massive. It's like, man, genetics.
Yeah, even at his age now, he's still a man I would not mess with. I think he's got to be in his 60s now still.
But he'd still kick your ass. He'd still kick all our asses. That's the thing. My gosh. Ball is live, $50 as well. So Ball is live. Thank you. No questions. Just wanted to help, but that's very kind again. And Matt Rain says, who is in charge of this sloppy shop? Have a blast, fellas. Love you both. Hey, man. Look, I'm not going to lie. It's all over the place, but that's how I live my life. And I think Big E gets that as well. Yeah. So
same. This is right up my alley.
Stephen Somerville says, I see during the New Day heel run, was there ever a time during that you were looking for a female superstar to be in the group? And if so, who would it have been? Or who was it going to be?
Yeah, we've been asked this a few times, and our answer was often Sasha, just because we were such a big fan of her. But then we would joke that she outgrew us, which is, I don't know how much of a joke that is. At the time, she started killing it. But, we actually, for a while, we did. So Alicia Fox was doing the stuff where she was kind of just throwing tantrums. And when we wanted to be like the first heel run, when Woods came out in that slick white and red suit, and we talked about like no more laughing and joking and kissing babies and all that jazz. And then we proceeded to do exactly that. That's the time before when he came out where we thought, okay, it'd be cool to like come through and like pick Alicia up off of her, her tantrum and tell her that she is a queen. And we, in this group, we're going to make sure you're seen as such. So that was kind of our original plan. Not that we ever talked to her about it, or this is just the three of us talking and thinking that we were bookers. So that's about it. I mean, it went nowhere.
I know, but you never know. The future is a wonderful thing. Did you ever, I know you've talked about this before, but I'm always fascinated by it. Like if a few years ago, somebody had told you the sheer levels the New Day was going to get to and still be around, essentially, would you have ever believed that? Because I know there was a lot of risk going into it.
Yeah, no, I guess we didn't really, there wasn't a ton of trying to forecast how long we'd be around. We were desperate to just get on TV. It's, we were like drowning men where you're just trying to find a life raft or a floating piece of wood from shipwreck just to hang on to. So we didn't have a lot of time to worry about how long we'd be around. We did, though. The reason we thought we'd be successful is because the three of us really believed in our chemistry. We had a ton of chemistry, and we realized that very early on. Like one of the things that we were really fortunate for and thankful for is that they let us do live events together. I meant to shoot that. They let us do live events together well before we ever got on TV together. So we got to build our chemistry. We got to travel together. We got to work on promo ideas. And then we realized as we were traveling together that, man, we have many of the same, beliefs about wrestling. We see the business much the same way. We were selfless in a similar way where we just wanted it to be about the group and not about proclaiming that one of us was the leader or that deserved more attention. So yeah, we just realized like, hey, this is a great fit. And I don't think we ever really thought that we'd be around for 7 years as a collective, even though we're on different shows. But it's been a blessing, man, for real.
No, absolutely. And Dina Raven says, just got a message for you, Big E. Simon, tell Big E, WWE needs to push him to the moon and give him the Universal Championship. Do it. I love you both. So there you go. You got a big fan right there.
Well, that's very kind of you. I tell people I just show up to work and I do the best I can with what I'm given. You know, that's the nature of the beast. But it has been very heartwarming to see the amount of love from people. And yeah, it's been cool. The outpouring, especially after I first started doing single stuff, was really cool. And then to hear from my peers who I respect as well, that they think that I'm deserving of that opportunity is all, you know, it's heartwarming. And I'm not gonna say it's like the sole reason I do it, but it's something that makes you think, yeah, I'm on the right track. When people who are really good at wrestling, who I love watching, when they say these things about me, it makes me think, all right, they're onto something.
I will say, when you started your singles run again and you came out with the weightlifting chalk, I got very excited. It's one of those weird wrestling things. You're like, I never thought I'd be this excited about weightlifting
for
chalk.
Yeah, I miss it, man. I miss the chalk, but hopefully we'll get it back soon. We'll see.
Right. I now have to. I want to score, but go on. Yeah, shoot. Go on. Nope, we're rubbish. Winged Paragon says, "Wish I could donate more. It's such a good cause." Question for Big E: what match of yours do others give you praise for that you're not fond of, and why?
Ooh, that's a pretty good question. I'm trying to think of one.
That's a hard one to be asked from nowhere with no time to think.
So in general, I love performing. I don't like watching myself. So that's probably all of them. You know, I don't like, there's some like the Usos Hell in a Cell match where it feels pretty universally loved, where I'm like, okay, if everyone says it's pretty cool and the crowd was really into it, I'm going to say it must have been pretty good. But I'm trying to think of one. Man, I don't know if there is one. Yeah, that's my answer. That's all I got. I don't think there's another one.
Just trail off mid-sentence.
Yeah. Sorry, that's all I got.
It's always good. Trail off mid-sentence, have to do a phone call, got a meeting. All of these things are good. Jay Fryers just says, you are amazing. So there you go, Big E. We're gonna rub your ego this evening, which is good. You deserve to have your ego rubbed.
You guys, I'm blushing, just so you know. I'm blushing, but I do appreciate it.
Sarah Buglass says, big love to Big E and Simon. Oh, thanks. I got some love. Awesome. Big E, what is your favorite match stipulation, and who would you like to do it with?
Okay. The second part was worded a little oddly.
I think it's one long question. It's not two questions.
My favorite match stipulation. That's another. Probably. I think the Hell in a Cell is pretty fun. That's probably. I was gonna say Royal Rumble, but I feel like that's not the one you're looking for. And then there's also 39 other participants, so it doesn't quite count. But I will go with Hell in a Cell. Just because it allows you, there's so much. With the Hell in a Cell, you also get elements of a no DQ match. You get TLC. Pretty much anything goes, and you got a cage. It's everything. It's like Neapolitan ice cream. You know, you're just mashing it all in there. You know, the more the merrier.
Do you remember the first time you saw that thing in 1997? I still remember. I couldn't believe it. As a kid, I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
It is pretty wild. Yeah.
Right, we will go back to Joe Boggio says, Big E, thank you so much for what you are doing. There you go. That's the whole message. So
thank you very much.
I think this says Ginocidus. I've got that completely wrong. I can't read that. Good thing I read that. Look,
good.
It's a PG stream, ladies and gentlemen. So we have to keep it that way.
Okay.
Unless we want to go blue. I mean, I suppose we could.
I still got bills to pay. You know, I'm trying not to get in trouble here. So let's keep rolling.
I promise to protect you. Callum says, great project, Big E. So that's nice. Thank you, Callum. And Naomi says, Big E, if you and Kofi and Woods could tag against any team in, well, you don't have to answer this one if you don't want to, in AEW, who would it be? Thanks, man. Love you guys so much, Naomi. I don't know if you're allowed to answer that. You don't have to.
I'd love to answer it, but let's avoid that one.
Indeed.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. If I had read that before and not just read it out, I wouldn't have asked it. So
what are you trying to do to me right now?
That's my fault. Please, everyone, put your hate on me. Don't put your hate on anybody else. And again, you don't have to do this either, but we can ask this one. Robster171, can Big E say, don't you dare be sour?
I mean, of course. I don't want to blow out. Sometimes I have to, when we record our podcast, I have to not scream because it messes up the levels. But don't you dare be sour.
Good.
Does that work for you?
That was really good. Yeah, that was really good. That made me feel good. I got quite excited. I've never been so happy for a game to get to halftime in my life. I don't know how it's 1916. I really don't know how it's 1916.
I'm not sure either. By the way, we're humming through this. We can get to UFC after if you'd like. You let me know.
We could do. I mean, we could do that. Chuck says, Big E, will you ever bring back the 5 count? I loved how you would demand the ref do a 5 count at NXT.
I miss the 5 count dearly. A lot of people ask me this from time to time, and as you know, we all have employers. And I don't make the decisions, unfortunately. But the 5 count was the first thing that really, it felt like I had arrived. Like, I got something here. And shout out to King Kong Bundy, who I stole it from, just thieved it from. But yeah, that was a ton of fun. It was also at a time in NXT when, I'm not gonna say no one was watching, because I feel like it had more of a market in Europe, but not nearly the same as it is now. Not the massive brand that people talk about, which was had some pluses and minuses. It was kind of cool when I got to the main roster, no one really knew who I was, which has its benefits at times because you're allowed to reinvent yourself a little bit. But yeah, definitely a very different time. But I love doing the 5 count. It was a ton of fun, and I miss it. I miss her dearly. I guess
it must be kind of hard as well because I can only imagine that sometimes people are going to be like, well, I don't want to. It's bad enough being counted for 3. I don't want to be counted for 5.
Well, sorry, sucker. Just lay there and get counted for 5. And it wasn't even just that. It was I would leave and I'd come back and I'd hit my finish again. And then I'd go to and then do the 5 count once more. Sometimes you get a total of 20, 25, 30 counts. Just me being a glutton for hitting my finish.
It's a good finish, though. I like your finish.
It is. Thank you.
Rich Mahoney just wanted to donate $50. So, Rich, thank you very much for that. And Only Kind of Gamer says, who? Oh, no. Right, see, I've got this one down now. Jobber Mania says, what's your favorite Shingo Takagi match so far to watch?
Ooh, you put me on the spot. See, my memory is bad. My memory is very bad. I thought he had an excellent G1, so I'd have to go with something from the G1. But didn't he have he worked, I want to say he had a really badass match with Jeff Cobb. I'm going to go with that one.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, absolutely. Mrs. Fluffer Nutter, which wins the Best Name Award so far. Oh, man, the shot clock ran out again. Hi, all. My disabled stroke survivor, husband Jason, is a huge fan of Big E. Could you please say hello to him? So there you go.
Hello, Jason. Thank you so much for being a fan. Appreciate you, Jason.
And me. I'll say it doesn't mean as much for me, but I'll say hello to Jason as well.
You better say hello to Jason. You better.
Crabcakes125 says, I think this is an amazing idea. Not only does it teach people of color about their heroes, but educates non-people of color about them. I'm curious, will you consider covering Bass Reeves? He's one of my favorite black figures in history that often gets overlooked.
Yeah, his name has come up a lot lately too. But yeah, he's someone, actually, if you've seen Watchmen, they kind of get into Bass Reeves a little bit as well. And that's one of the things that I love with Watchmen is a lot of people had not heard about the Tulsa race riots in, I believe, 1921 and Black Wall Street. And it introduced people to it. And I think that's the power of media and of entertainment is you can use these things where, people who sat down to watch Watchmen weren't like, hey, I want an education on race necessarily, but it was so beautifully infused and they told such a great story that it taught people. So we hope to do something similar in that vein. But yeah, Bass Reeves is a really great story, but there's so many great stories. And that's why we hope that this short film pretty much exists as a bit of a pilot in many ways. So we can show that there's a real desire for this and hopefully turn it into something more.
I was going to say, in the dream world, I guess you turn it into sort of a classic, TV show-esque, have a season, stop for a while, do another season, so on and so forth, right?
Right. In an ideal world, but we'll see. It's we have big dreams with this, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. And so yeah, first things first is getting this funded and making the short film.
Absolutely. And again, ourheroesrock.org, if you want to support Big E's project, make sure you do. Mosh Monkey 666 has done just that. He says, this project sounds fantastic. You're a great guy, Big E. I hope it all works out.
Bless you, man. Bless you. I'm just trying. We're all just trying, So that's all I'm doing, but I appreciate it.
Also, and Andy Jocelyn says, hey, Simon, thanks for the response on Twitter. Don't ask me questions. Ask me questions. I'm the dude that contacts you that has cancer. My goodness. I feel so better after chemotherapy. You rock. So I do remember you, Andy. Yes, we had a talk about you getting back into shape as and when. Well, just shout out to you, my friend. You'll get there. You'll get there in due course. I mean, I'll share. Andy was worried about not being in shape during his chemotherapy and what he could do. And I just told him that I don't think you need to worry about that kind of stuff when you're going through other health matters. You can always get back as and when you're back to your feet and 100%. So,
right. Yeah. Wishing you the best, Andy.
Hell yeah. Robert Chapman says, Big E, what is your best memory in WWE so far?
Ooh, it's the friends I've made. It's
beautiful, man.
It is. Thank you. But no, if I had to pick one single memory in the ring, you know what? I don't know if I'd put this at number one, but it's close. When we hosted WrestleMania, I know there are a lot of people who bemoaned us not having a match and asked us like, hey, do you feel slighted or disappointed? And I'd say not at all. We got to be a part of, to me, one of the coolest memories in recent memory with the Hardys getting back together and us kind of introducing them at Mania was a dream. So that was really cool. And it was just a really fun night. But there's so many great memories too, like being there for Kofi and seeing how much that meant. Kofi Mania just kind of just taking off was really cool. And yes, I'm struggling to multitask here. But yes, if forced to pick one, also the breaking the 483-day title reign is up there as well. Let's go with hosting WrestleMania, even though that's not really my answer. I just can't think as well right now. But it was a really good memory.
When did you find out about the Hardy Boys? Was it literally just before you went out there, or had you been given a bit of a heads up?
No heads up. They did such a good job concealing it. It was like we just knew we were there to host. And then just seeing them there was really cool. It was very, very cool and put a smile on our faces. And I just love to, and I get why people want backstage information and stories and whatnot. But when you can keep something secret in wrestling, I think that reaction still, every time I see that video, gives me goosebumps. And it has nothing to do with my involvement in it. It was just really cool that we got to pull that off and just to see two legends come back. You know, so many of us talk about like loving the Hardys as kids, and I don't want to age them, because they're still doing it, which is wild. So yeah, that was a really cool moment for us, and one that I'll always treasure for sure.
No, I totally get it. Even when I watch it, and I couldn't have been further away, it gives you goosebumps. It's a real special moment. Mr. Spiffy says, Big E, have you or the New Day tried to do a clothes deal? I would buy a pair of New Day Crocs.
I'm into it. We have not tried to do that, but we probably should. We should get on that.
There we go. Clothing companies out there right now, get in touch with Big E, the man of the moment. Erin Harris says, hello, handsome Mr. E. Any story behind the hip movements during your entrance pops me every time. Love you and glad you're getting the spotlight.
Well, thank you as well. I love you as well. The love is real. The love is deep. The love comes from my loins, actually, deeper than my loins.
I knew it.
There's no real rhyme or reason. It was just funny to me, and sometimes things amuse me, and I just do them. I don't really remember how it started. I remember we were just kind of loosening up and getting more absurd and jovial, and we were kind of just trying to top each other with gyrations and just trying to make each other laugh. And I feel like it was one of those things where we just felt like, hey, this is funny to us, so let's just keep doing it. And things, that's pretty much the origin of everything we do, is it amuses us, and then we probably take it too far and keep going with it.
Whose idea, this is my question, I'm taking over again. Whose idea was it to, when you were doing color commentary, to sit on a sofa and like eat food and stuff like that? Because that killed me.
That was my idea. Basically, anytime I'm in the background or we're just hanging out, I always want to do something, because I don't like the feeling of phoning it in. I don't like the feeling of just being there. And I feel like everyone just sits there at commentary, which is fine. But I said, thankfully, those guys listened to my nonsense. And I asked Props, I said, hey, can we get a sofa? Can we just make it like a living room setup? And we just kept adding on to things. And I'm grateful that they listened to my nonsense. But yeah, I always wanted to just do more of that kind of stuff, where with no explanation, for no real need or rhyme or reason. And I was hoping if I was going to be on commentary more regularly, just to blow it out over time. And eventually there's like drywall put up. It becomes a living room, was my hope. But the commentary run was a little short-lived.
Okay. One for the future, though. Absolutely one for the future. JT91 says, I love you, Big E. What's one game you believe you're better at than your boy Xavier Woods?
UFC 4. That is the only game I'm probably better at than Woods. That's the only game that I feel like I'm pretty solid at. So UFC 4, that's my game of choice. That is my answer. All the other thousands upon thousands of games, Woods has got me, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's pretty good. You know, he's got a whole channel dedicated to it. The man is a gamer extraordinaire. Jay Fry says, hey, Mr. Big E, just want to say you're my favorite wrestler. Just wondering, what is your favorite Pokemon?
Ooh, I feel bad. I never got into Pokemon. I never did. And it's not like I never thumbed my nose at it. I just kind of, everyone else was into it and I wasn't. When Pokemon Go hit, I remember we stayed in New York once. Like we stayed in Manhattan. And I think Woods was out until sunup. Just legit sunup. All night long, just getting his Pokemon Go on. And I'm an old man. I like my sleep. I like being in bed at a sensible hour. That's my life. That's what I want to do with my life. So I feel I probably missed out on a lot of fun. But yeah, that's Pokemon. Unfortunately, was never my wheelhouse. So I'm sorry I don't have a favorite for you. I apologize.
Right. We'll just say Bulbasaur and we'll move on. See, that's what you got to do. Just make that's all right. Robert Jackson says, no question, but I love the New Day's Brody Lee tribute gear. Yeah, I think everyone thought that was pretty special all around.
Yeah, that's my guy, man, and I'll always miss him. I love him, and we just felt like we had to do something for him, and we want to always honor John because that's a loved one and always will be. So yeah, the cool thing is we made the gear, and then I was kind of thinking of the best way to make it meaningful beyond that, and we decided to auction it off on eBay. And we have the last piece is up now. It's just kind of like a pair of boots that I had. And we've raised all the money for Food Link New York, which is a Rochester-based charity. And Brody's from the city of Rochester. So it felt like it'd be right to give back to his hometown a little bit. And that's what we did. So yeah, I often think if bad things are going to happen, I want to find a way to have some good come from it.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, that's it was an awful thing and still is an awful thing, is losing someone like that who's one of the best friends I could ever ask for. But our hope is to do something positive out of that. But I appreciate it, and thank you for all the responses. And it's very heartwarming to see just the reception for our friend, for our brother, to see how loved he was really heartwarming. Again, that's another thing to me that like some good came out of all that bad and all that pain, just seeing how loved he was by so many people.
Absolutely, man. It was, it was a really cool thing that you all did. David Lopez says, Big E, just thank you for everything and being a great influencer.
Well, thank you very much, man. Like I said, I'm just trying.
Only Kind of Gamer says, Big E, have you watched an anime? Have you watched the anime When They Cry?
I have not, but I suppose I should. The only anime that I really got into, and again, I feel I am apologetic. I feel bad. I'm sorry I've watched more anime, but I really got into, Sasha got me into Death Note, which I love. Death Note is really good. The movie is not good, but the anime I really enjoyed. And I suppose I should put that on the list. When They Cry?
When They Cry. At first I thought it said, have you ever watched an anime and cried? It's like, that's a very specific question, but hey, it can happen. It can happen. We're on the buzzer as well. I only lost by 10 points. And it's the lowest, one of the lowest scoring basketball games in history, but it's fine. This is good, though, so we can start another game while I ask a bunch of questions.
UFC?
Here's the problem. We should be playing UFC. I'm going to tell you a secret, Big E. No one else can hear this. It's just you and I. I may have deleted UFC the other day because I needed to free up space on my hard drive to do updates.
How dare you? Surely you could have deleted something else.
Well, I was going to put it back on, but I thought, well, I don't have to worry about it today. You see what a fool I am.
Fine. We could continue playing basketball very badly.
I know, but I don't think about these things. I just do. This is why I'm in the position I am, and you're smashing it. Who is the toughest wrestler you ever met in a street fight? That kind of sounds like he wants you to talk about a real fight that you've had.
I've had no street fights with other wrestlers. But if I had to pick one who I think would be the toughest, Bobby Lashley's got to be up there. For one, Bobby Lashley has had real fights. One, I don't know what kind of elixir Bobby Lashley has consumed. I don't know if he sold his soul to the devil. I don't know what's happening with Bobby Lashley, but this man is in his mid-40s, and he is a Greek god. And he is very strong. He's like, okay, people look strong, but when you're in the ring with someone and they put hands on you and they throw you around like it's nothing, then you realize, oh, that's another level of strength. So I have not fist fought Bobby Lashley, but I will put him on that list.
Okay. If it ever happens now, I'm going to assume that it all just went bad. Bungle says, would you, Kofi and Woods, ever have a triple threat match to see who is the ultimate member of the New Day at WrestleMania?
Never. People ask this question, and this is never going to happen. You know what is not done enough in wrestling is a story of brotherhood. And that's what we wanted to do. Something a little bit different. And sure, it may not be for everyone. Sure, it may be corny because you want to see people stab each other in the back. And I get that it's a business of conflict. But why can't we tell a story of three men who love each other and support each other and wish the best for each other? Because my success is not your failure. That's not how it works. We can all succeed. We can all grow. We don't have to beat each other up. There are many fish in the sea. Think of all the people there are we could beat up. Why beat each other up? You know, why?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And we've already decided that Bobby Lashley in a street fight is where all the violence is going. So we don't need any more violence. Brian says, hey lads, enjoying the stream. Seeing as it's St. Patrick's Day, which it isn't today, my question for Big E is, do you have any fond memories of Ireland? Lots of love, and I wish you all the best for your Kickstarter project.
Yes, I do. So I was kind of losing my mind a little bit a while ago when I was out, and I was hitting on Becky's mom via Twitter, if you recall. But I actually did meet her, and I met her, I guess the show must have been in Dublin. I think it was Dublin. And she is a wonderful woman. And Becky is one of my favorite people on God's green earth. She's incredible. So yeah, my memories of, and the crowds are always good. I feel like we've started many of our tours. Many of our European tours would start in either Dublin or Belfast, and we had the reception was always really, really good. Such a great crowd, but I always remember just kind of meeting Becky's lovely, beautiful, warm mother, and that's probably I should stop there.
Excellent. It's okay. We understood. The best thing about Ireland is Becky Lynch's mother. It's been done. We'll move on. Again, if you are watching, thank you so much for joining. Again, ourheroesrock.org. Make sure you support Big E's project. I mean, just rewind to the start of the stream if you want any kind of salesmanship as to why you should donate. It's a pretty damn important thing. And we move into, I think it's called Orbino Man. Interesting. Hey, Big E, I'm such a massive fan of you, and I love the project. Good luck with it, and please wish my good friend Dan Kelly a happy St. Patrick's Day.
Dan Kelly, you have yourself one incredible St. Patrick's Day.
Done. Easy. You can record that, and you can have it on your answer machine forevermore. Do we have answer machines anymore? Yeah, that's still a thing. People still do that. Andy Jocelyn says, oh, no, sorry, we've done that one. Excuse me. No, we're not talking about that. We've established we're not doing those ones. Here we go. Mr. Phoenix says, what does Big E think of the women's division at the moment? And if asked, maybe I shouldn't have done this, would he like to take on Rhea Ripley? There you go, Big E. There's your question.
I'll answer the first half for sure.
Yeah, good idea.
I love the women's division. I think we have so many incredible women. It's kind of silly, honestly, when you look at the amount of women who are really dope. I think Bianca, to me, has always been an undeniable star. Rhea, a huge star. You're talking about people, women who can easily headline WrestleMania, close the show, who feel like big stars and big deals. You look up and down. You look at even like the improvements that someone like Liv has made in the ring, seeing how like Ruby doesn't get enough credit for how good she is. Just on our side alone, you have Naomi, Sasha, someone who she's been putting on incredible performances year in and year out. We have just a wealth of talent with the women's divisions on all the brands is really incredible. As far as whether I'd like to take on Rhea, I have a lot of respect for Rhea. I don't know exactly why we'd have a match or what it would, what it would be for. I'm going to just say I think she's really dope and leave it there.
Honestly, this is the problem with not having someone vetting questions, is that I have to experience this madness halfway through. But I appreciate them all the same. Keep them coming.
Of course.
Andrew says, hey, Big E, I adore you and your work. I just want to say I really appreciate this project. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Very, very nice. So, this one's okay. Rasad says, Big E, I'm a huge fan. I met Scott Steiner last month, and he told me you are his favorite WWE wrestler.
Wait, is that real?
I mean, he said it. So, I think given the power of positivity, we should believe the messages that are coming in. So I'm going to say it's 100% real.
Okay, I would, if you have any proof of this, if there's any video recordings, let me know. Because Scott Steiner was like, Scott Steiner's a legend. He's undoubtedly a legend. And you look at the way like he reinvented himself from the tag team with his brother to seeing him just take off, seeing how he's got legendary promos. The Steiner Math promo is an all-time great promo. Put that in the Smithsonian. Scott Steiner is a legend, and no one can tell me otherwise. And I think that's pretty dope to get a cosign from Scott Steiner is something that I would appreciate. But you never know. I just always assume people are making things up. But if it's true, then my heart is warmed. But I don't believe you to be a liar. I really don't. Whoever it was that sent this in.
No, we trust you. We trust you. Jay Fryers just says, put $50 in. I just want Big E to be Big E. That's quite poetic.
That's lovely.
It is lovely. It is nice. Brad Bourne says, Big E, which tag team past and present would you most like to have a match with?
Ooh, tag team of past. Rest in peace to Butch Reed, by the way. I'll go with Doom.
Oh, man. I loved Doom as a kid. They were terrifying.
They were. That's the tag team of the past. Tag team of the present. We did something at Survivor Series with Undisputed Era, but now there's cracks in the foundation. I don't know what's going on with those gentlemen, but I think a straight tag match. I think we did a 3-way tag with Undisputed Era and the Viking Raiders, but I will go with an Undisputed Era straight tag 2-on-2 with some nice build. Get it all percolating. That's my tag team of present.
Man, I'd be all over that. That'd be awesome. Lanaya says, what is Big E's favorite schoolhouse rock song? I love the Our Heroes Rock Project. Representation is so important. Thank you for doing this for the culture.
Ooh, you put me on the spot. Well, what's the one about the bill? I feel like that's the one that I remember most about. There's a song about a bill. I'm bad. My memory is not very good, but I'm good. It's the one about the bill. You all know what I'm talking about. The one song about how a bill is made into a law, I think. I don't know.
All we need is vague descriptions, man. Vague descriptions is fine.
Good. Because that's all I got for you.
Everyone knows what you're talking about. Chris E says, Big E, I've loved you since you were Dolph Ziggler's security. You make me smile with your radiant humor and positivity. I shouldn't read this one out. I'm going to because it made me laugh. I think you should win the titles with Simon. So there you go.
You and me, Simon.
We're a tag team now. Just like that. Just that we can be, going back to what we talked about earlier, we can be the crabs. We can wear all the gold around our waist and come out side by side.
I like it. We'll get your visa in order, and then we'll get that done.
Thanks, man. It's that easy as well. It really.
Yeah. I just called the consulate. What is it? Who handles that stuff? The embassy. I'll phone my contact at the embassy, and we'll get it done. That's it.
Excellent stuff. Mr. Phoenix says, I know these days a lot of wrestling is far more focused on athletic moves than the old power guys of the past. How do you feel like guys like yourself, Big E, Keith Lee, Bobby Lashley find your place? And Braun Strowman's in there as well.
I think for me, it's kind of finding your groove with that stuff. I do enjoy very much how athletic wrestling is now too, but I frankly just can't do a lot of that stuff. So it's not even me making a conscious decision not to do 450s. I can't do them. So it's working within my limitations. But I like showing people too, hey, I got some athleticism as well. I can do some cool things. So that's why you get that spear through the ropes that people swear that I'm going to kill myself on one day. But I like doing things like that to kind of show that I'm a modern wrestler as well. But I also, it can be a breath of fresh air with so many guys being so athletic and doing that style so well. When you see someone who works a more physical style or works a more grappling-based style, I think it often just kind of stands out because of the way wrestling has moved. And to me, that's not an indictment of any style. That's just like, hey, sometimes, and that's kind of what we did with the New Day is I like to find where the void is in wrestling. What are people not really doing that I can do? And whether that's from a character perspective or from an in-ring perspective, it's finding ways to how can I stand out? If there are a bunch of guys my size, with my abilities, working my style, then that's a problem for me. So I got to find another way. But I tried to do something where I felt like, hey, there's no one who can do exactly all I can do in the ring, on the mic, character-wise. That's at least my hope, is I try to fill that void that no one has the package that I have.
I didn't laugh at that. I'm not 7.
No, you did not.
I'm not 7 years old. I totally agree with you, by the way. Wrestling to me is at its best when you never know who's going to come through the curtain and you get something brand new every time. I think that's when wrestling is smashing it. Sedan says, hey, Big E, I love you and the cause. If you could pick one 90s gimmick for yourself, which one would you choose? And there's some good ones in there, man. You can be Duke the Dumpster Drozy. You can be that. You can be Max Moon. you can be Avatar. There's some doozies, man.
For some reason I often think of Nails.
Nice.
I just like the idea. I'm just someone who's just straight out of the pen. Did he break out of the pen? I don't know why. You would think if he's trying to throw people off the scent that he would eventually change out of those prison clothes.
I mean, you think so? It's not the greatest disguise ever. In fact, unless he's being super smart and he thinks what I'll do is I'll never change, and then they'll go, it's not that guy. Because he's
right, it's too obvious. It can't be him.
Yeah, exactly. And then the police feel like they have to do more work because otherwise they're just phoning it in. You see, we figured that one out. We've done.
He might have outsmarted us all.
He definitely did. Where am I going next? We've got a few more to go. Dark Zed Cannon, who's put $100 in. Dark Zed, thank you so much. It says, wonderful project, Big E. Thank you for making mine and my girlfriend's Friday nights amazing. Obviously talking about SmackDown.
Is he? Is he talking about something else?
I don't know.
You don't know what I've been doing on Friday nights.
I promise not to ask about your personal life, so I'm gonna keep to that.
Yes.
Also, Styleretic says fitness-based question, so I'm being biased and getting this one in there. $65 as well, so thank you very, very much. How on earth did you learn how to do the split? Did you include yoga in your training?
So I just have always had very limber hamstrings, always. But I got really paranoid once I started approaching 30. So this was years ago. When I was like 28, 29, I kept thinking, all right, I got to do more to take care of my body. And so I started stretching more, and that was a Monster Jam, by the way. I don't know if you saw that.
It was. You're ruining me. You're absolutely ruining me.
But I just decided to start stretching more, which definitely helped. And then as I would stretch, I realized, I'm almost in a split here. Let me see if I can do this. And that's what we did. There was a gym, I think it's in Kentucky, that Kofi Woods and I ended up going to. And they have, I don't know if you've seen one of those machines, but you sit in it, and it's kind of V-shaped.
I know what you mean.
And you can crank it, and it opens your legs up. And it almost feels like a torture device. But we got in there, and I realized I was much more limber than those others as well. In fact, we reneged on this, but we had some New Year's goal was for us all to be able to hit a split. Now I could already hit a split, and we never cashed in on whether those two could actually hit a split, which I don't think they can. But yeah, so pretty much I did win. Pretty much my answer is I work on it now, but even when I wasn't really working on it, I just have always had very loose hamstrings. And I've also had a bunch of knee injuries. And one of the things that I've learned is that people with a lot of laxity in their hamstrings can often have those soft tissue knee injuries because you don't have the same stability with your knee. So it's a gift and a curse because my ACLs, they went like that in college. They just decided to shred. And it's because these damn loose hamstrings.
I'm going to upend this as well, simply because we're here. Are you a calorie counting guy, or do you just kind of eat what you want and you get away with it?
I loosely do it. I find that if I was like, hey, I need to train for a show in 8 weeks or 12 weeks, I can be disciplined and count all my macros and everything. But when it becomes a lifestyle, I just don't have the patience to do it all the time. Yeah. But I do count my protein. I'll try to keep my carbs low on certain days. I'll have a loose idea of my calories. And there are certain days where if I'm not working out, oftentimes I'll count all the calories just to make sure like, hey, I'm around like 1900, 2000. Cause for a while I was 310, 315 pounds. Like there was, in the 24 they did of me, there's a point where I'm bench pressing 575 pounds. But at the time, I was probably 310, 315 pounds. I'm about 260, 265 now. And a lot of that was just a decision of, hey, I don't want to be fat anymore. Like, especially, and I start thinking too, like my dad has diabetes. There are other diseases and illnesses you start kind of running into just being bigger. And as much as I love wrestling and I want to do it as long as I can, but I also really want to make sure that when I'm in my 40s and my 50s, that I'm mobile, that I'm healthy, that I feel good. Because I feel like when you're 15, 16, all that stuff feels so far down the road, you don't worry about it. But when you start coming up on 30, I'm 35 now, I've just been more cognizant of wanting to live a long, healthy life. And so, yeah, that's why I decided, like, hey, let's lose some of this weight. There's no need to be this big. And I definitely think when wrestling's over, I plan on losing some more too. I'd like to walk around to like 230, 240-ish. But yeah, that's my life. That's my life.
Nice, dude. Honestly, it's great advice. I'm well into fitness, and I think sometimes people forget about the health part of health and fitness. So it's really awesome to get that kind of thing out there. Saeed has thrown $100 into the mix. So Saeed, thank you so much. And he says, Big E, I know this may be degrading. So he's already given you an out, man. He's giving you out. But can you give me a shout out in a WWE promo?
Oh, I was gonna say right now. I was like, that's easy, Saeed. I'll shout you out. But do you know the level of, do you know how difficult that is to say, I don't even know. You know what? I'm trying to think of a way. You know what? I'll give you this. I'll see if there's a way I can do it. I promise you nothing, because that's a big ask, Saeed. That's a big ask to do it. I assume you mean not on digital, not on like WWE Twitter, but you mean on the show.
Yeah, he mentions talking smack as well, so he wants you to do it on the show. The thing is, Big E, once you do it once, you're going to open the floodgates. Everyone's going to want it. Although you could make a very successful second living off this if you wanted to as well.
That you might be onto something.
You may also lose your job. So
there's that as well. I didn't want to get into that, but there's that as well.
Let's go on. Vasht says, knowing that Samoa Joe got the chance to voice a Transformer, if you got a chance to do any kind of voiceover role, which one would you take?
First of all, I have done some VO, so shout out to me on my VO. Actually, if you've seen a lot of people haven't seen this show, but you should. It's called Laser Wolf. It's on Adult Swim.
I love that show.
Okay, yes, I'm on that show and I enjoy it. But if I had my pick of the litter for voice work, man, that is a great question. Probably some Marvel villain. Like for some reason I loved Mr. Sinister as a kid. I also loved Apocalypse. So some just big, nasty Marvel villain would be cool. Yeah, let's go with that.
Done. Awesome. DJ Spam says, Biggie, one day, do you think you'll ever get your last name back?
If you listen to our Nonsensical podcast, I've been campaigning for this for quite some time. And it's pretty much just me ranting and raving about how I used to be a man who was worthy of being salutable. Like, people had so much respect for me, they thought, Biggie Langston, that's a man I would salute. And not just salute normally, but you would take your hand and it would be so straight that it's curved. And if you can see it, that's how your hand, that's how stiff it should be. That's how much pride you have when you see me. That's what Biggie Langston, that's a name that brought that kind of respect. But Big E is like, Big E could just be anyone, some schlub off the street. You know what I mean? That's not a real respectable name that causes you to salute. So I would love to have my last name back someday. You know, it was stripped from me, it was taken from me, and I have some identity issues because of that. So I'm still working on that part of me. But yes, I like Biggie Langston. It had a nice ring to it. And that was actually, so when I got to FCW, they asked you to make a list of names. And I didn't know what I was doing. So this is 2009. I had never worked in wrestling, brand new. So I listed 20 random names. And Langston was supposed to be a first name, a la Langston Hughes. And he was like, my favorite poet as a kid. And they decided to pick that part, and they just asked me for nicknames. And I told people, hey, Big E people have called me Big E since I was probably 10, 11, 12, around there, for a long time, since middle school. And so we just landed on a nickname, Big E, and the first name that I gave them, which became a last name in Langston.
There you go. Done. I'm not going to lie. It's the first time I think I've ever talked to someone who said, my name sounds like I'm some kind of schlub. So now every time you come out, I'm going to be like, there's the slug.
Look at that slug. Look at
him. Where shall I go next? Tyler says, what authority figure would you like to perform your finishing move on? There you go. You can go get back at some of the villainous GMs we've had over the years.
Ooh. They said authority figure, though. They didn't necessarily say
good point, they did.
Maybe I pick a politician.
True. Very good point.
Maybe I pick a governor. But I don't need to get in any trouble there. Authority figure. Ooh, Hornswoggle. Remember, he was the he is the anonymous GM.
He was the anonymous GM.
Yes. And I have hit my finish on Hornswoggle, but it's been quite some time. So shout out to Hornswoggle, who, a friend of ours, a good friend of ours. We've had him on the podcast. That Hornswoggle, that deviant. So yes, let's Hornswoggle there.
This could be my favorite question so far. QD says, Big E, this is an amazing project. I'm looking forward to great things. But did the pancakes ever used to get uncomfortable in your ring gear?
They don't feel good. So one of the problems is they would make them at first, but then we just said it's a lot easier to go to the store and buy them. So we started buying the pancakes. But they would crumble. Those like cheap store brand ones. Imagine in there, and I don't wear undertrunks, so it's just my skin. And I would tell people, don't put this. If I have a pancake from my loins, don't put it in your mouth. There are people who, people will say, "Hey, I put this pancake in the freezer. You guys threw it to me, and it's a keepsake." That's great. Do not put any pancake I give you in your mouth, please. So I would take it, and a lot of times I would get rid of all the pancakes and think I was good. And then I go to take a shower, and I'm taking off my singlet, and it's disgusting because it's bits of pancake. It's little curly hairs. If you know where they came from, it's foul. It's disgusting. So and I would just open it up, and it would just rain these like crumbs of pancakes. So again, it was not but that's what that's when you sacrifice for art. That's all that is.
It's true.
I sacrificed for my art, and someone had to do it.
I knew it. And of course, you had the advice of not to put any in your mouth, so you never did that either. So,
right,
we were all good.
I'm just going to jump in and be the invisible voice in the sky and probably get loads of heat from the chat for saying it. But we agreed on an hour and it's been like 10 minutes over, so it's up to you guys. But
I say we've got one.
Whether you're busy and we wanted to cut it off or whatever.
We've got Big E. Are you happy to finish the quarter and then wrap things up? Does that work for your schedule?
I love it.
Excellent.
I'm in.
Well, we will do that. Thank you, Phil.
Still loads of questions, so it's all good.
I didn't notice, so I will apologise to Big E that I was supposed to be in charge of that.
We're good.
I was just having a really good time. Not gonna lie.
No, same.
I was having a blast.
This is fun.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it though.
We can keep it going if you want. It's all good.
It's so good. We'll finish the quarter and we'll let